Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again and welcome to Monday's show. On yesterday's satellite imagery, we had a band of clouds here across the northern Bering Sea down into Bristol Bay. Low pressure moving eastward, or actually northeastward here into the Bering Sea. Some snow showers for AKwx and light precipitation moving into the eastern Aleutians. Clear and cold back up here over the northwest interior, and some snow here over the Tanana Valley that extended down into the Sitna Valley yesterday afternoon down to Big Lake and actually to a certain extent into Cook Inlet. That moving off to the northeast there. Also a system weakening and sliding in across the Queen Charlotte Islands. Showers decreasing there for the southeast coast. Next system, cloud shield with that, pulling up to the north or northeast very slowly here. Mostly just cirrus clouds. And then today you can see that's advanced northeastward here, 5 a.m. this morning. And all that rolling up toward the southeast coast, the main storm center back down here developing and promises to become a pretty intense storm. It's going to hit the panhandle later tonight and through tomorrow. Clear and cold over the interior, temperatures down into the mid-30s there in the Koyukuk Valley and also the clear areas of the Yukon Flats with below zero readings all the way down across the Kuskokwim Valley. Nikolai down to 33 below this morning. And more clouds kept it a little milder up there over the North Slope and the Arctic coastal areas. And then this system weakening and most of the precipitation occurring either east of the Pribilofs or south of the southwest coast. Looks like some showers dragging across western Alaska Peninsula in toward Unalaska. Changed over to snow this afternoon on Alaska as the colder air moves in. Next system rolling up into the Aleutians there. Winds on the increase, snow moving into Shemya. And on the chart, right on the edge of that snow and wind field here for the western Aleutians. Lighter winds across AKwx and Atka, and the unsettled conditions with that low over western Bristol Bay in this area. Again, we'll see the Alaska Peninsula picking up some moisture there. And this storm moving northeastward has wrapped some moisture and snowfall over Kodiak Island, or at least at the state airport, reporting snow this afternoon, moving into the area. Otherwise, a band of showers moving out of the southeast coast during the day today, and also this area of snow lifting off to the northeast and pulling out, replaced by clear and colder temperatures. Areas of light snow up along the Arctic coast, mostly on the central coast to Barrow down to about Point Lay, and then out over the open water areas here, a little bit of a trough there with the snow. Really, the only reason it's here is because the water's open, the winds are fairly light, and that extends right down into the northern Bering Sea across St. Lawrence Island with some light snow and flurries at times on down toward that low center. For tonight, we'll see this system definitely quite intense, 963 millibars, gradient increases after midnight tonight. Wind, rain picking up, mixture of precipitation, trending toward rain there. That south-southeasterly flow as warmer air pulls northward. But there is a winter storm warning out for the northern southeast coast there, really for Klondike Highway up to White Pass, looking for about 8 to 14 inches of snow. Basically, that warning's out for tomorrow. Otherwise tonight, clear cold temperatures anywhere from 25 to 40 below here in the clear areas and below zero, possibly all the way out to the southwest coast. And pretty chilly conditions. Probably no clouds here for Cook Inlet. Mostly clear. Gradual increase in the breezy conditions here. Gradient starting to tighten up as that low center pulls northeastward with a high back to the west. So that's going to keep that trough mostly along the coast there. Light snow from Barrow again down to Cape Lisburne, possibly Point Hope. Otherwise, clear and cold again over the Kobuk and Selawik valleys, maybe down 30, 35 below there under that high center. And again, cold conditions, light northeast winds all the way out to the coastline. Isolated showers over the Bering Sea, and this front with storm force winds into the western Aleutians tonight, and gales extending all the way to the central Aleutians by 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, and snow changing to mixed rain and snow changing to rain as the night rolls on. Then we'll see tomorrow, this front right up along the southeast coast, storm warnings out for all of the southern half of the inside waters, and just about all of the outside water coasts have storm warnings, as well as the Gulf of Alaska. 50 to 60 knot winds with this thing, and rain possibly heavy down on the southern areas there, but also a high wind warning out for the southern southeast coast for south to southeast winds gusting 60, possibly 70 miles per hour. Winter storm warning out tomorrow again for the Klondike Highway on up to White Pass for possibly as much as 8 to 14 inches of snow, with the 14 inches falling at White Pass, and then lighter on down to the south. Then snow advancing westward here in that gradient, easterly winds. So snow will be pulling westward with ceiling visibilities coming down, so going IFR there for the eastern Alaska range into the Cop River Basin and possibly the 40-mile country, snow possibly reaching Eagle. And by tomorrow afternoon at this time, it could extend all the way over to Windy Pass, which would probably go marginal VFR. Otherwise, wind chill advisory out from midnight tonight through tomorrow night for Broad Pass, say Cantwell on up through the pass there, through Broad Pass, and maybe Windy Pass for winds gusting 35 miles per hour, wind chills running as cold as 45 degrees below zero, lighter winds and well below zero throughout the day tomorrow over the interior. More clouds, keeps it a little milder here, and no change there on the western Arctic coast. That area light snow, fog, and lower visibilities there down to St. Lawrence Island. This front pulling eastward now, gale force winds advancing to the eastern Aleutians, rain and snow there. A few showers to the western Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, Bristol Bay dry for Kodiak Island, gusty northwest winds, chilly temperatures, and mostly snow or snow showers back over the western Aleutians in the cold air. We'll see that system out here actually develops another low that pushes or slides northeastward right up to about this position by 3 p.m. Wednesday afternoon. So look for some mixed precipitation chances increasing in the afternoon here, along with probably gale force winds for the North Gulf Coast, but just a chance of moisture there for Cordova. Nothing for Valdez, probably nothing for Seward as well. Kodiak, though, looks pretty wet, rain and snow. And this is the Arctic front right here, the Pacific front pushing eastward there. So north of on the north side of that, probably mostly in the form of snow, but that's going to be south of the Pribilofs and definitely south of northern Bristol Bay. Clear and cold again over the interior, light winds all the way up to the Arctic coast there, with no change in this snow pattern out to the west. Maybe a little bit farther back to the west, which would take St. Lawrence Island out of it. But Tin City probably still looking at IFR at times, and cold snow shower north winds all the way out across the western Aleutians. Otherwise, for the southeast coast, winds lighten up, but still looking at some pretty breezy conditions with that trough exiting again, much like today. Showers diminishing as the next system rolls on in, probably Wednesday night. And for temperatures down there today, upper 30s to lower 40s, 42 at Skagway, Juneau at 38, 39 Sitka, 40 degrees at Metlakatla, 35 at Yakutat, falling into the upper 20s there for Prince William Sound, including Cordova, lower 20s, 23 Seward, same thing at Nome, mid-30s, Kodiak Island, teens here for the Kenai Peninsula, 12 at Kenai, 14 Palmer, and 9 degrees up at Talkeetna, and temperatures range from 0 at Gunsight to 12 over at McCarthy. North of the mountains, below 0, 10 to 20 below up there, going to 20 to 30 below farther to the west in the more clear sky area. Even colder up to the north, Bettles, 35 degrees below 0 at 4 o'clock this afternoon, minus 17 Fort Yukon. And more clouds kept it milder there, minus 9 at Umiat, and right around 0 on the Arctic coast at Barrow, 6 below though at Kaktovik. And 7 below, Kotzebue, Buckland, -12, Ambler 29 below, and near or a little above 0 there for the Nome area in the Seward Peninsula, White Mountain at 0, -20 at McGrath, 0 at Bethel, -2 at St. Mary's, 19 Savunga, and upper 20s for the Pribilofs, upper 30s here for the Peninsula, mid-30s out towards Shemya. Lows for tonight, 20 to 40 below 0 here. Coldest temperatures up through this area. Milder on the north slope and milder yet out along the Arctic coast, especially on the west side. And mid-20s down into the Kuskokwim Valley. Again, could drop maybe even as low as 30, 35 below there. McGrath, Nikolai, below 0 temperatures. You've got the 0-degree isotherm right out to the coastline. And then teens to mid-30s there for the peninsula. That pattern extending across the Aleutians. Much milder over the southeast coast. Highs tomorrow, 40s for the Panhandle, except up there in the north. Warming into the upper 30s, so look for that snow to begin to mix with rain tomorrow afternoon, especially where the warning's out Klondike Highway towards Skagway. Mid-20s, 25 to 30, 35 below for the highs again there over the north central interior. And teens to near 20, south central Alaska, mid-30s Alaska Peninsula, 40s for the Aleutians. Tomorrow IFR spreading in late tonight actually here into the southern southeast coast. These conditions coming down quite rapidly after midnight, spreading northward. We'll see tomorrow all IFR for the Panhandle tomorrow afternoon, extending back to about Cape Yakataga. Marginal VFR in the increase here over the eastern interior. And again, that could become IFR as well during the late afternoon there for the northeast, for the Wrangell Mountains, actually on up to Northway, Mentasta, Isabel Pass, becoming VFR or IFR. And again, marginal VFR could get as far west as Windy Pass. Low visibilities here, marginal some areas of IFR there, northern Bering Sea, on up to the northeast. And also out here over the Bering Sea, look for IFR from Cold Bay out to Nikolsky and the western Aleutians. Passes, Anatuvik though, open, same forecast for Adigan. And clear skies, Lake Clark and Merrill with rainy VFR, windy VFR, possibly coming marginal later in the afternoon. Isabel VFR, deteriorating conditions to IFR in the afternoon. Same forecast from Mentasta, only faster there. And for Tanita, should stay VFR throughout the day. Portage VFR, Chilkoot and White IFR. Freezing levels, again, late tonight, big surge of warm air pulling northward here ahead of that system on the south-southeasterly winds, 2,000 feet up to about Elfin Cove, but at the surface still, so all that moisture overrunning the cold air there brings heavy snow in for the Klondike Highway, otherwise at the surface everywhere else. And for tomorrow's icing, could be some areas of moderate widespread rime icing here in these shaded areas above about 4,000 feet. Icing spreading up into Canada and then starting to pull westward in the afternoon. Icing 3 here over the remainder of the interior. And then areas of possible rime icing are mixed here above about 3,000 feet eastern Aleutians to False Pass and on back to the west. Winds aloft, jet stream. Strong upper low here pulling into the Gulf of Alaska. That storm, southeast winds 100 knots right across the Panhandle. Take a turn to the over the top of that ridge at 120 knots there. Cold upper low here coming in, bringing the cold air, keeping it cold over the interior. And then strong jet south of the Aleutians. 9,000 foot winds, very strong here for the southeast coast tomorrow. 40 to 60 knots or even 65 knots for the Panhandle as that low advances in. Strong northwest winds 50 to 80 knots behind that, but diminishing across Kodiak. East 30 for the North Gulf Coast. 15 to 25 knot winds over the interior, lighter from the Brooks Range on up. And then 40 knot winds there, increasing to 55 knots out of the east over the southern Bering Sea, but lighter winds here by comparison across the Aleutians. Same pattern at 3,000 feet, 25 to 40 knots, say 40 knots for the Unalaska Island area. East-southeast 40 for the Pribilofs, 55 knot winds coming back in around the backside of that low into the western Aleutians, and 50 to 65 knots southeast winds here for the Panhandle. Winds on the increase, North Gulf Coast, south central Alaska, especially from the Alaska Range on down to Kodiak Island, lighter up to the north. Turbulence Band of severe definitely possible there, especially for small aircraft from Dixon Entrance right up across the southeast coast to Yakutat over to Cordova. Moderate chop here, southeast interior from possibly Eagle down across south central Alaska to Kodiak Island. Smoother here, light winds in the west, and then turbulence coming into the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula up to the Pribilof. And then could be severe out there, Chimney and Attu for those northeast winds, 45 to 50 knots. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health here in Anchorage. We appreciate the support of Alaska Public Media in allowing us to bring you hangar flying. This evening, we are happy to have back on our show our guest, Jamie Patterson Sims. She's the owner of Skytrek Alaska, which is a flight training school here in Anchorage. She was recently awarded the 2016 Flight Training Excellence Award and was named one of the top 10 flight schools, not just in Alaska, but in the U.S. Welcome to Hangar Flying, Jamie.
Thank you, Mary.
So we talked a little bit last time about the types of aircraft that you use at Skytrek and about the types of instruction that you offer. Can you talk a little bit about how many hours your average student needs to obtain a private pilot's license?
Well, it really varies between the student, their motivation level, their educational background. But the U.S. average is about 67 hours, and at Skytrek we're averaging about 41 or 42 hours. So we really emphasize at Skytrek, in my 20 plus years of flight instructing, I found that if I emphasize a lot of ground training before the flight, that I can get the students through a lot faster with a lot less flight time involved. So.
And you also take students that have come from other flight schools, or maybe they moved up from the lower 48 and didn't quite finish.
Right. I do get a lot of people from other flight schools, or like you said, who didn't finish their rating, maybe 5 or 10 years previously. And so they come to me and we evaluate their time that they had before. Any time that they had before, as long as it's been legally signed off by a flight instructor, is just as valuable. And so we evaluate their time that they've had, and then we move forward with their flight training. So, yeah. So it works out pretty well.
Well, those are some pretty focused hours, it sounds like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about the process in how Skytrek was selected as one of the top 10 flight schools?
Yes. So AOPA pilot focuses on 4 important factors in a flight school. And one of those is customer focus. How focused are we on the customer experience? When they come in, how do we teach them? And then there's a sense of community. We want to make sure that we have available to students different ways that we can reach out to them and bring in speakers like tower speakers, people from the Anchorage Tower, from Merrill Tower. They've been fantastic about helping out our students. People from the FAST team, from FSDO, from the FAA, they can come in and we can talk to them, and in a low-key environment.
That's really great for students to be able to see who's talking to them in that tower, or who the FAA really is in person, and put a name to a face.
Exactly.
It's a great opportunity.
Yes, and that information sharing. And the number one factor that they were looking at was the educational quality. So we are always reaching out to people and looking at their different aspects of how we can improve our flight training.
So would you have any advice for pilots or non-pilots who are thinking about following their passion and starting a business? I mean, you're a successful business owner, and not just a flight school, but a successful business owner. You obviously did something right. Do you have any advice for somebody who's thinking about doing the same thing?
Well, I did a lot of planning. I went to the Alaska Small Business Association and went to a lot of different workshops there. They really helped me out. I received my MBA from the University of Alaska Anchorage, and my undergraduate is from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Prescott. So I did a lot of training, and I really enjoyed all the teaching that I've done. I was an adjunct faculty member at UAA for a few years, and in the aviation department, and I really I found out how much I enjoyed teaching students, and how satisfying it was to, reach out to them and to see just how great it was to impart my knowledge and my experience on them.
And I know flight instruction is a huge confidence builder, not just for the instructor, but for the student who's learning as well.
Yes, it's huge. When they get to their point of their solo, it's amazing how much they blossom and how much they grow. They're just, it's just an incredible experience for them to go up in the pattern by themselves and fly the aircraft all by themselves. So.
Well, Jamie, congratulations on your flight school being named to the top 10 flight schools in the U.S. That's absolutely fantastic. We're lucky to have you as a resource in Anchorage. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next time to talk with Jamie Patterson-Sims a little bit more about being a flight instructor and the award that she received from the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association as a flight instructor. So until next time, fly safely.
Again, open water up here in the Chukchi Sea with cold Arctic air in over it. That's the reason for the low clouds, extensive area flurries all the way down in the northern Bering Sea. But the cold air in there, ice is going to be closing in probably fairly rapidly here over the next few days and continue to expand out here along the coast. Otherwise, storm warnings out for a good portion of the Panhandle tomorrow, 50 to 55 knots out of the southeast seas, 25 feet. Southeast 50, gusts 75 knots in the forecast there for Clarence Strait. Seas running 14 feet, a full gale there for Stevens Passage. And actually, storm warnings will extend all the way up, but not including Frederick Sound tomorrow, and then southeast 30 for northern Lynn Canal. Then on Tuesday, southerly gales for the Lynn Canal area, and small craft advisories for Stevens Passage. Lighter winds for Clarence Strait, southwest at 20. And small craft advisories out of the southwest on the south coast, southerlies 30 knots, 20-foot seas on the north coast. And for Prince William Sound, tomorrow mostly north winds up to about 30 knots, so small craft advisories for sure. Same thing for northern Cook Inlet, actually south of the Forelands as well. Gales, Kamishak Bay into the Barrens, and the North Gulf Coast. Gale force winds north to northeast, strongest here, blowing across Middleton Island. Northwest 35. For the east side of Kodiak. And then on Wednesday, we've got northeast small craft advisories here from Shelikof Strait all the way up to probably the Forelands there, lighter to the north, northeast 20, Prince William Sound. And gales continue for the North Gulf Coast again, northeast or east-northeast 35 to 40, dropping to 25 for Kamishak Bay. And then that frontal boundary right through here, so southwest 25, and then again northeast for Shelikof Strait. Northeast 20 tomorrow, Bristol Bay. Northwest could start out 30 knots or 35 here, especially up towards Sitkinak, but falling back in the afternoon. And then winds picking up in the afternoon to 25 knots. East 25 in the Bering Sea side, northeast 20, Bristol Bay. Gales for Bristol Bay on Wednesday, all the way down to Cape Sarachev to Sitkinak, south to southwest, small craft advisories. The Aleutians, gales from Adak and Atka, 35 to 45. Gale force winds extend all the way over to Unalaska Island and also back out to Shimya there, but turning around to the northeast, 24-foot seas. And for Wednesday, north, 35 to 45 knots from Shimya all the way to Adak, and then more of a variable pattern, north or east 30 north of Unalaska Island, southwest 30 to the south. And for the southwest coast, east-northeast, 20 to 25 knots, 5 to 6 foot seas. Gales for the Pribilofs, east 35, 13 feet. And St. Matthew Island, east at 25, east 20, 15 to 20 there for St. Lawrence Island. and then southeast 15 knots. So pretty light winds here for Wednesday up there, but 30-knot northeasterlies here, north of Nunivak Island out to the northern Bering Sea. 40-knot winds out of the northeast for the Pribilof, 16-foot seas, probably looking at snow to go along with that. Maybe it could be down to the south though, and gales along the southwest coast. Arctic coast on the east side, pretty light variable winds, 10 knots there, southwest 15 for the central coast, turning westerly, then northwesterly, then back to light and variable with pretty slight seas. Then on Wednesday, still light winds here from Wales to Cape Thompson, then northwest 15, northeast 10, and again a light variable wind pattern for the entire Arctic coast, really both tomorrow and Wednesday. And for tonight, again, big storm centered here. Front, wind, rain, snow increasing, spreading northward. Gales will become storms tomorrow. Otherwise, just some leftover clouds here over the northeast interior. I don't think any of that will be in Cook Inlet as I have it drawn here. Snow, maybe. Kodiak Island already going on, may continue. High pressure here, cold night, 35 to 40 below over the interior. And again, below zero temperatures right out to the coast. A few scattered snow showers. The next gale force windstorm here coming into the Aleutian. Actually, storm warnings out for the western Aleutians pressing eastward. We'll reach the eastern Aleutians tomorrow, some gales. Otherwise, much windier conditions, wind chill advisory for Broad Pass, Cantwell area, and storm warnings to the southeast coast. Heavy snow warning, again, Klondike Highway, where White Pass might pick up 14 inches. High wind warning down south for gusts maybe to 70 miles per hour with rain heavy at times. And again, clear and cold up over the interior. And then for Wednesday, that storm moves on out. A weak trough exiting the state in the afternoon. Next storm advancing eastward brings a chance of snow. This snow actually might Tuesday night advance into the Anchorage-Palmer area, maybe. Anyway, have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.